Hey everyone, this is Saeed. Welcome to Messy Growth. So most founders think growth is about doing more campaigns, more content, more channels, more budget. But today's guest, Justyna Dzikowska, says it's the complete opposite. Justyna is the head of marketing at Brand24, where she leads a team driving 70,000 unique visitors per month through organic content, SEO, partnerships, and product marketing, something I want to dig deeper into. She's been marketing for over 10 years, working with companies like Packhelp, Devantly, PProjects, Ogilvy, testing strategies, different tools, and approaches across B2B SaaS and tech. Her take, pretty simple. Marketing works when you focus on ROI, not vanity metrics. When you double down on what's working, not what's trendy. So today we're going to talk about how to cut through the noise, why most companies waste their marketing budget on the wrong things, how to build content that actually drives the revenue, and what separates teams that grow from those that actually stay stuck. Justyna, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Super excited about this chat.
For being
The
here.
topics that we're going to cover is something that I talk with other marketers all the time. So I hope it's going to be interesting for everyone that is working with content and with marketing.
I'm excited to kind of look at it from the lens of a person who's just not a marketer. So I am curious how those will go, but I will try to do my best. I'm curious, Justyna, how does someone go from journalism school to leading marketing at one of Poland's top B2B SaaS company? Was there a moment where you realized, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Apart from the market in journalism, which is hard, and it was hard 10 and 15 years ago when I was thinking about my career. But basically, I wanted to have a job that would be thrilling and exciting and business related in some way and still connected to writing. So starting as a copywriter was a pretty obvious choice. This was also the job you can do as a student. And I also often see that right now I'm teaching at the same university, at the same field that I was studying. And those people have time. Like, these are not super hard studies. You can actually study daily and something connected to digital marketing, social media, copywriting, because this is basically something you can do in a hybrid mode, asynchronously with all the other teams,
Right.
in the evenings, weekends, whenever you have time. So pretty interesting and nice career start for people who have this humanistic mind. Like, they know they don't want to be developers, and they
Right.
still want to do something with tech and digital. So obvious choice for me from this perspective. 15 years ago, when I told my mom that I'm going to be an SEO copywriter for this agency, and she was like, "What? Is that a job? Like, you're gonna work online?" I have bad connotations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess like the thing is, there is one thing to study a particular subject, and of course everybody can do it, but there is other thing, which is being actually good at it, and finding repeated success, which is something you seem to have found your niche in. You said something, content is king since 1996. I saw that on your LinkedIn profile, but it's only working when you look at the ROI, not just views. Most companies measure the wrong metrics. What should B2B SaaS companies measure instead?
Right. Today, I will say the trend, because this is something I said a long time ago. And I'm not saying I regret, but with the perspective of so many years working in marketing, we need to look at the ROI, because it gives us answers about what actually works. And we can never skip this moment. And I think 10 years ago, I saw a tendency to do that. And I did that myself. I was like, oh, I wrote such a great blog post. It has thousands of views from the wrong people, from the wrong target group, from the personas that are never going to buy my product. And I learned that the hard way. I think right now what is most relevant, because this is the part I think most mature marketers know right now, the thing that is super important to monitor today is the trend, because things are changing so fast. And we've seen that with social media. Many companies and marketing teams say that, oh, we don't need to be on TikTok. This is just, it's going to pop up and pass away. Yeah, we will have platforms like every week, every month, we can't just throw things away and skip to the next big thing every other week, because this is not a strategy. This is not sustainable. This is not safe for the mental health of our teams. uh, to just jump on every trend that is coming. But unfortunately, I think this is something we have to do, and this is how our jobs will look like
Yeah.
for the rest of our lives. Yeah, we need to jump on every small thing, measure the trend, check how fast it's changing, because people were thought that they don't need to be on TikTok because they are B2B or because their audience is not there. It's stayed. We have many other platforms, and right now many companies are still claiming that they don't need to think about LLMs because their target group is not specifically there, or they don't see LLMs or ChatGPT specifically as a big part of their traffic today. So there's more sense, and I know it's
Yeah.
justified. This is looking at the data. Yeah? If you, for many companies, if you look at your Google Analytics or any other dashboard you use, and you compare proportions between traffic from Google Analytics, from Google, like traditional sources, and from LLMs in many cases are still smaller, but the trend
Right.
is growing like 10 times every month. So next year, how do you think when we're going to be? This is something we need to act on. And I think we will have many cases like that in the future. This will just stay with us, that we will have something every month, and we need to check it and observe how fast it's changing. Is it relevant for our group? Is it relevant for our company? And can we really afford to ignore it?
Yeah. I guess you said it yourself, right? A good marketer, I guess, would be someone who is ahead of the curve. We see it all time and time again in marketing, or even, I guess, in social media. Folks say, hey, this is cringe. We're not going to do it. Oh, crap. This is getting a lot of attention. Damn it.
This
We
is
should be
me.
on this. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like we should be following it there. Even if you talk to like ChatGPT or Claude, they would tell you, yeah, if your audience is not there, don't go there. But it's not about the audience, right? At the end of the day, it's not all about it. It's about building a brand, so to speak. So just being a good marketer would be just staying ahead of the curve just a little bit and try to see if there's a fad that comes on. You have to follow it. It doesn't. You're not here to debate the ethics of the platform. You're there to do your job as a marketer to make sure you're on there, and vying for eyeballs wherever they are.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a question for you, which is you've worked at Brand24. I mean, this is all about branding, mentions like you mentioned online. Great way to use that tool to be able to find those. Bit of Pro Analytics, Clearcode, all technical B2B SaaS products. How do you make analytics, ad tech, and data management platforms interesting enough that people actually want to read about them?
This is the hard part. I mean, I have friends who are working in marketing for cool B2C products that are
Right.
tangible and visually attractive.
Mm.
And we have dashboards, uh, which, like, for people who already know them, are a natural habitat. But for the first time, when you look at them, they are sometimes overwhelming. And also, we are talking about work. So this wave of fascination that you have with products, it's sometimes limited with the workload that you have in your everyday life. So it is harder, but I think the scenario is the same. You need to think about people and their challenges and their problems and their motivations. So what is their everyday struggle? And at work, if you're a marketer, you need to increase the reach, build your base, brand awareness, deliver lead. And these are the very universal challenges that we have in marketing, but the motivations that are behind them are very different. And I love the fact that we have in Brand24 like 12, 15 personas right now, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
Like, and every
a lot.
marketer will tell me that this is too much. No one remembers their names, and no one, can tell their story by heart, waking up in the middle of the night. That's not really the point, because I think we need those different variations and those different stages of those peoples and variants of the same person working in different companies, because we actually do have different challenges and pressures then. And someone who is doing marketing as a one-man army in their own startup or their own company may have the same motivation that the person that is working for a huge corporation. And this motivation may be, I have a family to feed and I need this job and I really need results by the end of the month. This is the same story. And sometimes you have in the same type of organization, you have very different people with very different motivations. Somebody want to impress their boss or colleagues, show that they're worth the new role they're fighting for. Sometimes they have very active competition with
Right.
bigger budgets, and they are fighting that, and they are really ambitious about it. And these are human stories that are really fascinating, and I think worth digging into. And this is something that makes a difference in a way that we create content, and in the fact that people are interested in it or not. Because we try and we do that with almost every blog post. I think we start with human stories. We put this character in the middle of the narrative, and we don't say, "Hey, this is our dashboard, and you could buy it from only 19.99 starting today." By now, yeah.
Does it really help having a celebrity as a boss, or do you think that's more of a blocker?
It is. I'm sure it depends on the person, but
Yeah.
my celebrity boss is actually very nice, and he's genuinely a good person. And I often get asked by Polish marketers or even on international conferences, meetups, is he so nice in person? Is he really, he's really smart and good to work with, which is way more important. Like when you think about the boss
100%.
and someone you work with every day, this is like the most important part. The fact that he's also a celebrity is super helpful, because whenever we need some little kick boost, so influential idea being dropped on LinkedIn, he's doing that even before we ask. So it is super comfortable. It's making us lazy at some point, because I know other companies don't have it that good, but it's not my favorite part about this set.
Yeah. No, he's great. I spoke to Miha a couple of weeks ago. He was really sick, but still came on to the show. So I really appreciated that. That just shows the humility that he has, and sticking up for his commitment. So I really appreciated that conversation. On the topic of Brand24, Brand24, you said has a domain rating of 78. That's massive.
Right now, 80, we need to
Oh my
update.
lord! Oh my lord! You went up 2 bips. Okay, so that's massive by any stretch of the imagination. What's the one thing that you did that most companies skip when building SEO authority?
Everything that's not SEO.
That's a
Because-
secret, isn't it?
Yeah, because we build SEO teams and SEO managers, and they need to focus on the DRs, on the
Right.
links, on like all this architecture. And in the end, if something is not working, and there's like usually this young, brave, unrotten person in the room that says, maybe it's brand awareness. Maybe we need to do social media more. And it's like, it's not related to the topic at all, but it's right. It's 100% true. You're not going to get exposure without partnerships, without relations in your business,
Yeah.
talking to the right people, being on the right meetups, conferences. All the environment is important here. So I think this is something that's, if the strategy we wrote at the beginning of the year says that we focus on driving organic traffic, because numbers show this is like the most reasonable from the ROI perspective. This is giving us the best quality of leads.
Yeah.
And we skip social media, we skip PR, we skip brand awareness totally. We don't work with influencers because we can't afford that. And
Wow.
whenever someone is introducing us somewhere, we'll just pass, because this is not part of the strategy. And yeah, that's not how it works. Unfortunately, we need to be everywhere, do everything. Everything is important, and we can get a terrific link from perfect domain based on the relations we built, or the newsletter we will be mentioned, because of the meme we dropped on TikTok, not because of the perfectly written SEO article, 10,000 characters.
Yeah, I guess that's keys, right? Just trying different things and throwing crap against the wall, see what sticks, right? That's in large part what marketing is all about, I guess. So you've led content for Packhelp across 7 different markets: US, UK, DACH, France, Spain, Italy, Poland. I guess what's harder? I'm just thinking of the names at the top of my head of the countries that I had prepped. So quite a lot. In your experience, what's harder, creating great content or localizing it without losing quality? Because, and just to give you an example, me and my wife, she's Polish, I'm not Polish, but we know Polish very well. But when I'm saying something in English, it doesn't have the same oomph in Polish. And the same thing in Polish just doesn't have the same oomph in English. So how do you do that?
First of all, huge respect for being in a bilingual relationship. This is something I was always wondering,
Yeah.
how these people communicate. How are they on the same page, on the same emotional
How do they
level?
fight?
Yeah, sometimes you need to say something in different language because there is no
Yes. This is alternative.
cool. I'm sure this is very like in a way of how you manage your communications in your private life. It can massively influence how you think about communication in business. I don't have such advantage, but I am kind of bilingual. Like I'm butchering Polish. I'm using half of English words in my Polish conversations, which is cool with millennials, Gen Z, but with older generations, it's getting harder. And you try to use Polish declination for English words, which
Yeah.
leave people speechless. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Also because we are automating it, we are using AI. Right now we are using Deeply for our automations, which is a great model. Like the translations are way better than we used to have them 15 years ago from Google
For sure.
Translator. So this is like future now.
Hmm.
And still, when you have a person that is from local market, from a local culture, outcome is way better, totally different. And they will often tell us that the localization, the version we have equipped with AI doesn't really make sense at all
Sure.
if it's very specific topic. So I have a huge opportunity and privilege to have a team for all the local markets in Packhelp. And this was great because we were taking all the possible advantages from this pack. We wanted them to include local cases of local brands, talking about campaigns that were relevant on their local market, adding jokes that did not exist in other language versions. We wanted to cooperate with experts from the local markets, using as much of that potential as possible, not taking care about the fact that it's not 100% the same content that we have on global site, English or Spanish or Italian version. And I think this is not the only, but the right and best possible way to do it. And because it simply impacts the conversion. Like we saw before, we had a local person working with the content, we saw the conversion rates coming up after we personalized, humanized it, and localized with the real person. So this is something that really works, and it is unavailable for most of the markets. Like most companies don't have money to hire a local content creator for all the markets that they're on. So this is kind of a perfect scenario, ideal situations that for many of us simply doesn't exist. But still, if you can do that, I measured, I checked, it's great. And I'm sure we also know when we see a website and it's automatically translated. And
you can spot it.
No.
Sure. On the topic of content, I feel like there are people that are in two different camps ever since the invention of mainstream AI/LLMs. Which is, if you, for instance, go on LinkedIn, and quite a lot of times you will see posts that are written by LLMs, and people are saying, "See, I got you. You wrote this through ChatGPT. Nice try." I mean,
I love this. I love this conversation
because there's a hyphen there, like there are certain markers that can tell you whether or not a post is written by AI or LLMs. Do you kind of feel like, is that a wrong thing to write a post through an LLM, or are you kind of like the person who is for it? Because the way I see it, it's not a bad thing that you're using an LLM in order to be able to, I don't know, structure your thoughts, for a lack of a better way to put it, because not everybody's a natural writer. I'm certainly not one. Where do you stand with all that? Is that like going against your religion? Like, how dare you use an electric car when we have fossil fuels to burn? Or you're more about, you got to stick with the times?
I believe it's best to create a bad prompt and then publish a badly written ChatGPT post on LinkedIn, because if you want my time to read and you didn't invest enough time to write,
Oh, that is
like That's unfair. I
Yes.
refuse to take part in this conversation. But I see many posts that I assume are written with little help of some kind of assistant, because I know that people who are posting them, there's no way they have time to do to do all that research, and there's no
Right.
way that we dig decent data and we structurize it and it's up to date and everything is awesome there. But I know this person had 3 children, 2 side startups, is traveling around the world, probably haven't slept in 2 days. That's not possible that a human did that.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I respect that if you are smart enough to build a prompt that extracts value from something you may think and want to say, but don't really have time to perfectly create 2,000 characters about it or
Yeah.
less. I'm pretty sure that the questions you created for this interview were created with the help with LLMs.
Absolutely not. Of
No,
course.
more
I
like,
mean, we all use it. And that's a good thing, right? Like that's like kind of when the calculator or the computer was invented saying, how dare you use a calculator to do maths? You're not good at math. Does it matter? This is a tool and I want to use that tool to get better at what I do. That's okay. But I think what is not okay is what you said is just giving that job 100% over to the LLM and pretending like this is your thought leadership. Because like think about it yourself, Justyna, you're a marketer. How many good thoughts a day you have? I maybe have 2 good thoughts a week. That is if the week is good. You know,
oh, for sure you have more. You just don't
in
qualify
the
them
sense,
as.
sure, maybe you may very well be right, but not enough to kind of stick that into a context and share that with the public. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe 6 months from now, a story will come up and it fits perfectly. It's just for me, thought leadership becomes very tiring. I mean, and I think it's partially to blame with the socials, because socials nowadays, and I was talking to Miha about this, that the socials, or even LinkedIn, they favor people who are posting consistently or like every single day. Quality doesn't matter so much. And I'm more in the other camp. It's like if you have a thought, share it, but only when you have a thought. You don't have to come up with thoughts every single day. You just don't have to, shout in the void, for a lack of a better way to put it. So but yeah, to answer your questions, yes. I mean, of course I use the LLMs to curate some of the questions, because there are some
I
pretty darn good questions.
I respect the prompt. Like I was reading the questions and I was like, oh, there was an element that says analyze her previous hiring history, analyze like the thought leadership
The-
content she created,
yeah,
analyze the team she was managing and
yeah,
challenges she has, budget she works on, data she's sharing. Like these are pretty good prompt elements.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I used to at the beginning, let's say, of the automation development, I used to receive messages that were like, "Oh, I can see that you share your insights with your grandpa. Let's chat." And my grandpa was sadly deceased at the time,
Oh
and
my
I didn't
God.
update my profile.
Oh,
I was like,
oh
"Did your
no.
prom found this the most interesting and relevant part for our conversation? Like, this
Oh.
is not the most relevant part of everything."
I think that's laziness. Uh, you know what I mean? I think it's tantamount to what people do in sales, which is, spraying and praying, and you're bound to leave some dead bodies in the way, which is this particular thing which just happened. But like, ouch. Note to self: never make that mistake again. Um, or at all, actually. I guess coming back to the topic on, I was reading through it. You get a lot of organic traffic onto your websites on blog posts. I have a blog. I'm sure a lot of people do, a lot of companies do. They don't get the same number of visitors per month. It's usually a dragnet. What's the difference between content that gets traffic versus content that dies in silence? Are there certain markers that you're able to predict, or is it all about just good quality content?
It's a tough one because very often, I'm sure many content creators and companies have that you have perfect quality content. You've digged
Right.
out unique data. You were the first one to write about it. Like everything
Sure.
checks, and the algorithm hates it. And this is something that is also connected to the thing you mentioned earlier. The algorithm expects us to post every day, so you need. And sometimes, like I'm consulting smaller businesses or just influencer friends who want to create their channels, and they also hate this this pressure that if I want my great content to be found by algorithm and people, I need to create 40 to 60% of not such a great content just to feed the algorithm. And I don't want to do that because this is just spamming the internet. Planet
that's
don't
going
need
backwards.
That's not sustainable. Like we're using electricity to do that. Something went wrong, but this is not something we can change right now. Not something we can, boycott if we really have a company to develop. So
Yeah.
in some cases, I just advise people to embrace it and
Yeah.
and pray for the algorithm to notice you do everything you can to be up to date with the little changes and tweaks that are there, just to give yourself a chance for this great quality content to be right. But right now, I think with the LLMs, there is some nice sustainable change that is giving us like an opportunity to really pop up with those best possible articles and pages, posts we created, because this is really important if you are the first and have the unique data. LLMs will search for that. And if they all have like 5 articles based on each other, and then one that is creating some unique data, and they're the first, this is something that is really getting fractions and it's being noticed by the LLMs. So also, I think in Brand24, we are pretty privileged because we are able to create our data with the platform. We know that there's going to be Wimbledon, people going to write about it, read about it. We set up a project, we monitor the data, we can share insights about what was the advertising value equivalency, the global reach, what were the biggest voices around the topic and everything. We can do that, many other companies can. So it's easier for us to create this type of content that is no one else has it, and we are the first source that will be linked by others. And this is something that I think we should strive to create, even if we don't have the ability. And many people do that. Personally, I love Justyna, who taught me that many, many years ago with his CXL course, that if you don't have this product, you don't have this data, you can always create content based on the queries, on the surveys, on like doing your data in a basic Google form and just creating the knowledge. This is exciting.
100%. 100%. You said what makes a good marketer?
Curiosity and not being close to the fact that this is a creative job. So I'm not going to look at the numbers or Excels or dashboards because that's boring. I'm going to focus on this is everything job. It's perfect. We recently laughed with the team that the number of people with ADHD is increasing in marketing because this is a perfect job for people with this type of disorder. You're interested in everything. You want to read everything. Do it now. Forget about it. Get back to it in 3 months. Improve it. Forget about it again. Test something new. This is what being a good marketer is.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. For anybody who just likes their attention divided, right? Because you can't just focus on one thing. There's not a lot of monotony in there. On the topic of a good marketer, what's the one trait you look for when hiring content marketer? Are there any flags that you look out for in an interview where you go, yeah, I spotted it, right? No, that's a no.
I try to ask people what they want to do and match them with the position based on this little something. Because when I say they need to have interest, they need to be interested in everything and have this ADHD drill to explore everything. That's not entirely true because we will still have companies and positions that require deep focus and being long-term committed to, for example, content writing or only social media or stuff like that. You need to be interested in everything, but still you need to be ready to stick to one domain if this is the career path that you enter. But I think this curiosity and this openness to do the things that I haven't done before are
Yeah.
not really my main area of interest, but I'm willing to try and see what happens. This is something that works really, really well. And we have content creators who are interested in social media and they are writing amazing posts about them.
Sure.
So they are they are up to date with all the memes, trends, and music that is popular right now, and they write about it. And the blog post is amazing. We have
Yeah.
people who are more interested in data analytics, and they are connecting this interest with content and topics they choose to write. But I try to measure that before we hire a person and match it with match this person with their role, because I believe it's like it works the best if you do what you like.
Yeah.
And I know in many cases the market is super tough. So many people are right now
Yes.
applying to any job that is there, and I will just learn whatever and do whatever. Just throw money at me, and you can have all the time I have. It's just really, I think every year we used to think that, oh, this is a tough year for marketers. That's not really a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And of course, there are different aspects depending on the niche, on your experience, on the industry that you're in, or totally unexpected factors you can take under consideration.
Right.
But if I'm looking for any red flags, is just this this attitude of, oh, I'm not going to try this. I'm terrible at data. Oh, analytics. I never learned Google Analytics because it's so boring. I think I would never hire a person like that has like a no-go zone in marketing. You just
Right.
need to be curious and open for everything, because you never know what's going to be needed at the company right now. And of course, you can say, I'm not going to do that because this is unethical or something. But you need to be open. This job will change, and the tools we use will change. The channels we're in will change. The way we create. This is gonna be all very dynamic. So I want people to be ready for that, because it's guarantee that they will stay safe in this job. And some
100%.
other trick I use for hiring, I ask people what was the last thing they read, and sometimes they're, oh, that is such a good question. I read this great book, or I found this ebook on trends, or this transcription of a podcast. I didn't have time to listen. Anything apart from the answer, oh, I actually don't read. This is the last red flag I need to see to stop being interested in someone, even if they have great credential, great experience in competitive companies. If the content creator marketer isn't reading, it's very suspicious.
Yes, that's odd. I kind of feel like that if your job is relying on a lot of reading and writing, then I guess that would come natural to you. Should be reading. You talked about creativity there a few times. That you talk to people. You work with people that are extremely talented, copywriters. The folks that I worked with are almost always very creative because they have to be creative because they're creating things out of nowhere. How do you manage creatives without killing their creativity?
Half of the success is, I think, talking to each other and asking this question: are you happy? Do you like what you do? Or do you still like what you're doing? Because I have in my notes that last year you said you want to do that, but has anything changed? Do you want some new challenges? Can we add something to this? Is it too much? Are you still able to generate ideas, or you need some major change? Because I think this is natural that we evolve as people, and the basic tool I can give people is the type of tasks they have. And if they are satisfying for them, we have better chance that they will do them with their full potential. I know not every company have this comfort. Like sometimes you just have like 20 content creators and they need to write content, and you need to write about some very specific technical part of some machine that you've never seen.
Yeah.
And this is hard. But maybe there are some elements, some aspect of it which you can add to make it joyful and
100%.
fun for this person. Because
Yeah.
the saddest thing about creative people these days is the quality of content with the LLMs and with the social media happens to make us more tired and more overwhelmed. And like the mental health aspect of working with social media and internet is super important, even on the C-level and with the startuppers. I can see topics on the agenda of conferences which weren't there like years ago. We used to ask each other about how do you, draft your strategy, not how do you handle that you want to kill yourself after 5 years of doing the same thing. This is the thing. So I think if we can manage that as company owners, managers, creators, if you can find for yourself this process of still being interested in the work that you do, and as a manager, if you think about other people, okay, how do I keep them happy? How do I stop them from going crazy? What can we add? What can we take? This is really important for them in staying creative, and it's possible. I mean, I've seen happy creative content creators that were creative for 20 years of their careers, and they were like, yeah, that's my personality.
Yeah, it's something they enjoy doing, right? For the most part, we have entered the era of where pretty much anyone can go ahead and build a product. But I think like the real challenge now is not building; it's scaling and growing and go to market. That's always going to be a tough nut to crack because you're vying for attention of people, and it's not something you can do in your room alone. If a $5 million ARR B2B SaaS founder comes up to you and says, hey, Justyna, should we focus on SEO, social, or partnerships? What would you tell them at that stage?
All of them still. They hate to hear that. Everybody wants precise.
Why do you think they hate to hear it?
Because it sounds like no strategy. It sounds like you don't know what you're doing. This is like, oh, you mean we need to have a restaurant and have Chinese, Indian, Polish, American, and Italian cuisine at the same time? No, I'm saying we should have starters, main dish, soups, salad, something for vegetarians, vegans, and meat eaters, and drinks. And we can't serve only one type of food unless we are a food truck.
I think it just goes back to what you said earlier, is that you got to just try different things and see what sticks against the wall. And what works, and you're not going to know it until you try it. So what's the worst thing that can happen? So upon doing this research, before speaking to you and using the LLM, you said you turn sales pitches into stories. Now, most B2B content reads like a sales pitch. It's just a sales pitch in a disguise. What's the difference between a sales pitch and a story, and why does a story matter more than a sales pitch, if indeed that's the case?
Can I give a long answer?
Please, go ahead.
This is very something that is rooted in us deep deep inside as people. We people were developed their system, society, and everything by exchanging the stories, because that's how they could warn each other, powerful. Tell them, okay, food is behind that tree, go through that mountain, there is water. Like, we are programmed to listen to each other and to our this is very deeply rooted in our mind. But we don't want to listen to the stories that this product has a new feature and this feature works like that. This is not the
really in our... Please tell me more.
Oh, the brain is already somewhere else when you start talking like that. So the 20 personas that we have, and both job descriptions, life stories, real profiles, give us something to start from and to put our persona, our client, future potential partner, friend in the center of the story. Even if it's a company, we try to create the story around people who created communication for this company. Like, we're describing the case of Zalando or North Face or Patagonia, and we say people who created that campaign thought it would be a great idea to connect with that part of market or influencers. And it came out, it was a great idea because the content was very interesting. It has positive sentiment and reach of da. So we are showing the data. We are talking that the tool will actually help you to measure that. But we are not saying the tool will help you measure that. We are saying Patagonia did a campaign, and people who were involved in it generated reach on the topics that generated sentiment. And this is a different story than we have a feature.
I guess there's something about that caveman woman brain of ours where we are sitting around a campfire and somebody's telling us stories, just how we connect. So I think you hit the nail on the head right there, 100%. It's not about your product. It's about a story, the emotion that you invoke in another person when they're hearing that story. So you've been in the content marketing for over a decade. On that theme, what's the biggest myth about content marketing that companies still believe and waste money on?
That if your organic content isn't working, you need to pay for ads. This is a tough one because I also use this logic sometimes, and I hate that. And we share. There is this idea. Someone says it out loud in the team, and we're, yeah, we don't have organic reach with this campaign, so maybe we boost it up a little bit. Yeah, maybe we should, but maybe we shouldn't. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And I think for marketing people, this problem is pretty logical and obvious. It's harder to embrace for C-levels and top management, because I feel like we sound a bit paranoid when we say, no, the Google algorithm will spot that you have the budget and will want you to spend more with it. It sounds crazy, but it works like that. In so many
100%.
cases, it was proven. It's not written in the terms and services, but that's what we observe. So maybe trust us.
Yes. Yeah, that this is actually it's very valuable. Companies talk about publishing blog posts. They kind of feel like that, hey, if we have enough of a repository of blog posts, we can repurpose that content. We can work towards our SEO. And they publish 2-3 blog posts per month and wonder nothing is happening. It's not generating that organic.
Do we still have the
There are companies that are using content, blog posts, and pushing that out. Maybe not as much, but they certainly are doing it. Let's talk about the comment you just made. Does it work? And if it does, what's the minimum amount of content a B2B SaaS company should be pushing out to see results?
It all depends on so many factors, because I understand if you have a very specific topic, product, problem that you're solving for a very narrow group of people, and your goal isn't actually to, generate the reach of 2 millions, because you need to get to the 10,000 decision makers in the world that are interested in this particular use case and problem that you're solving. So in this scenario, I imagine having two very good, very, unique and rhetorically great blog posts on this specific topic may work, because it will give you this advantage in LLMs. It will be the only content that will pop up for those people when they start to Google. And also, maybe they don't even Google that problem. Maybe if you link to this post on LinkedIn and write a story about it or make a video about it, it will be like your next step on the path. You will never see it because you have your first click model of attribution, and you will see only this place where they first connected. So you won't notice that this blog post is working, but maybe this will be something that will encourage them to jump on a contact form. So okay, it can work. In my bubble of Martech, the reach, potential reach is unlimited, and the sky is the limit, and you can always create as much content as you can physically, and with AI, it's basically unlimited. The topics are there. There is still more to cover. There isn't any same place where we stop and say, okay, we've covered everything. Now we can stop. Doesn't exist. And I think this is the scenario of most companies, like those startup creators that are creating companies for the weekend. they are rarely thinking about some very narrow scenarios and are okay, like, okay, I'm gonna sell it to 5,000 people and they're gonna pay me this amount of money and
Yeah.
I'll buy a house, live in the forest and never ever worry about money.
Mm.
Maybe for some people this is the scenario, but usually we are challenged with as marketers is this expectation to go as big as possible, write as much as possible, get to as many people that are out there. So taking that under consideration, posting 2 blog posts is super risky because you're simply not giving yourself a chance to tickle that algorithm
Yeah.
with as many keywords as possible.
Yeah. Have you, on the topic of content, has there been a content strategy that failed very badly for you in any of the companies you worked in? Was there something you learned from it?
Right now we have a campaign, but I still believe in it, and I don't want to, discourage the vibes
I already
around
know
this
the
campaign.
answer. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if you want to share the details of the campaign, but I'm sure and I hope it works out and it turns around and the ROI is worth it.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. We worked hard around, and many people believed in it. And we're looking at the numbers, and where are the people? It's such a great campaign. Like it's not even a campaign in a sense right now because we're not paying to promote it because this is just a tool we created for people to use. It's out there. It's for free. Just go. Why are you not going?
I think I know what you're talking about. But and like I said, I hope it works out. Sometimes it takes, a marketer yourself, sometimes it just takes time until you hit critical velocity. It was something interesting that I read on your LinkedIn, and I want more clarification on that. It says that you're super satisfied with your current job. Do not offer me any other job. Is that a joke, or is that like
Oh,
is that
it's serious. I get maybe not a ton of, but I get offers regularly.
sure?
Even though I wrote that on my profile. I know they don't have time to read my whole
Yeah,
profile.
nobody's.
But I like my job. The environment is perfect. The people are perfect. I love the product. I was using Brand24 in all the previous companies I worked for.
Oh
And
wow.
if they weren't using Brand24 and I was hired, I said, let's buy Brand24 because I need it to my work. I need customer insights. I need to see the ecosystem of our industry and everything. And this was like my dream job. I will never change it for twice or 3 times as much money.
Wow.
It
That
may
is,
change in time.
yeah.
Maybe in 10 years, I will be a different person
Let's
and
see.
I'll have different objectives. But
Yeah.
right now, this is everything I
Yeah.
want to do and nothing,
You know,
nothing else.
that's very rare. You don't see that very often, which is why I asked, because for a lot of the folks, I think jobs are just stepping stones. This is one, in a year from now, there'll be another. But the fact that you found something that is special for you and you enjoy working, I mean, you're obviously onto something, and that's fantastic to hear. It's been fascinating conversation. I do want to head into our rapid fire round, which is my favorite. Um, so it's like quick questions, quick answers. Best advice you've ever received, business or personal?
Don't worry.
Easier said than done, though, right? Yeah, don't worry. Okay, perfect. Advice you ignored or you wish you had listened to?
If you see, feel, and experience that someone is not doing their best in their roles, they're unhappy, the job is unhappy, maybe act now and not wait 3 months to talk about it.
No, not later. Because again, I think you're right, because if you wait, it's just going to manifest into something bigger. You're going to feel crappier. You even might get to a point where you're actually let go. So none of the options seem to be the good ones.
Yeah.
So just act now. This is perfect. What would you tell your younger self, say 7, 10 years ago?
I want to tell her sleep more, eat better, but I think I wouldn't be here now if I wouldn't invest some of my youth energy into developing my career. So I'm not sure if it's possible. Gen Z right now and younger generations, I think they believe it's possible and they don't expect that their career will be developed with the cost of their health and sleep. But I think we should all work towards the world where it is possible.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. But I think there is some midnight oil you need to burn to get to certain positions in your life. I love the idea of a 3-4 day work week. It sounds pretty great, but to get to certain stages like you, I mean, to get to that position, you're just going to have to work hard and sometimes extra hours, and you're going to have to sacrifice other things in life. That's just the unfortunate cost of doing business at the end of the day, right?
I'm afraid that if we repeat that narrative, it will never happen. And I'm willing to take part in the narrative where we invest the right amount of time in the right places, and it's changing. And I think, so some time ago, people were working on Saturdays, and we are now celebrating the fact that we don't have to. If we would ask them if they can have a 5-day work week, if that's possible, they would never think this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's about perspective, right? Like if you look back, obviously there's things people at it a lot harder than we do. We work in front of a computer, for Christ's sakes, not plowing the fields. One ongoing challenge in your current work that keeps you up at night?
LLM positioning. And why are we we are still testing things, and I feel like we still don't know enough. With Google, there was conference and there was this link and updates, and they would tell us right now we will be taking under consideration the frequency of your posts or the date it's been posted or the number of keywords you use. This was pretty transparent. With LLMs, I feel like they are, we're just stealing content from Google and black box, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Pass, any
definitely.
tips you can give.
100%. Your favorite restaurant, meal, or a spot in Poland?
In the whole Poland?
Sure, why not?
Oh my God. Right now, I love in Wrocław, Ida, but it's been mentioned in the ranking, and now you need to book a table.
Oh no,
So
really?
all the fun is gone. But
God
if you'll have a chance, I recommend.
What kind of food do they have?
Polish fusion.
Polish fusion.
Modern
Nice.
with twists, but you know the name of the dish, but the way it looks, the way it tastes is totally surprising. I love that.
Cool. Very good. Michał, if you're hearing, you know where to make the reservation for the team next time around. One tool you swear by other than Brand24, which I definitely recommend.
Surfer SEO.
Yes.
Yeah.
They recently got, I think, acquired, right? It was a pretty fascinating story out of Wrocław. So kudos to them and kudos to the community, tech community in Warsaw, in Wrocław. Justyna, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much. I really appreciated you coming out of the show, having a chat with me. I learned a lot. I have made like a whole page of notes that I'm gonna compile. I know
I should do this job.
There's something about these things, right? I was never a note taker until I started talking to people. And now when I make notes, it feels that it instills in my memory a lot better. So I do it. But this has been fascinating. I've definitely learned quite a lot. And I want to thank you for coming out of the show. Where can listeners find you? Not to poach you. You're not ready to leave Brand24. I get that. But where can listeners find you? Any upcoming project or launch or talk or something that you're excited about?
Generally LinkedIn. And next week I'll be in Warsaw for a market conference.
Nice.
Great pack of people will be there with us already. I don't know if tickets are still available, but if they are.
Okay, perfect. That's right. I'll try to see if I can actually snag a ticket and hear you speak. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. Folks, if you got value out of this, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Hey.